The police have charged the driver of a car with causing death by dangerous driving following a fatal three-vehicle crash on the Holland Bamboo Main Road in St. Elizabeth yesterday. Charged is Karel Biggs. Police said Biggs was the driver of a Suzuki Swift motorcar in which a 70-year-old Pauline Heavens of 7 West Greater Portmore St. Catherine was a passenger. A report from the Constabulary Communications Unit said Biggs, at about 12:20 p.m., Biggs overtook a line of traffic and reportedly lost control of the vehicle that was heading towards Black River. The car crashed into the rear of a parked BMW, forcing it to collide with a Toyota Axio that was also parked along the roadway. 70-year-old Heavens, along with 4 other passengers, including 2 girls, ages 7 and 13, received injuries and were taken to hospital. Heavens was pronounced dead and the others admitted for treatment. The 7-year-old and her mother are said to be in serious condition. An eyewitness whose car was also hit in the accident, Barbara Rawlings, gave us this report.
We went into the restaurant, buy some food. Drive out, reach right to the end of the asphalt there. But there was a long traffic coming from that side and a long traffic coming from that side. So we have to wait for the way clear to turn out. When we look up the road, there was a blue car in front. A long traffic. And before the car, little before the jelly man up there, so one red car. This red car, me say come out of the line. And when it come out of the line, me say come over to this side and start come down. That white car was parked right up there, up to the restaurant up there, and licked into the white car. And while we were there, the white car licked into us. Right now, in my shoulder, they killed me on my leg.
Biggs is scheduled to appear in the St. Elizabeth Parish Court in Santa Cruz on June 13. Meanwhile, the Jamaica Constabulary Force is mourning the passing of one of its members, Constable Donald Carr, who died in an accident over the weekend. The police high command has since offered condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of the 37-year-old constable who was assigned to the St. Andrews South Division. He was involved in a fatal collision on the North-South Highway on Saturday. Reports from the St. Anne's Bay Police are that at about 8:30 p.m., Carr was driving his motor car heading to St. Anne when he allegedly lost control of the vehicle and ended up in a ditch. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. A female occupant also sustained injuries. She is currently being treated at hospital. The force's chaplaincy branch and welfare department are providing support to the family members, friends, and colleagues of Constable Carr. Our news team visited the Hunts Bay Police Station where Carr worked and spoke with the head of the St. Andrews South Division, Senior Superintendent of Police Kirk Ricketts, who gave our news team an update on the accident that speaks of the length of time it took for Constable Carr to be transported to hospital.
We know now is that Constable Carr would have met in an accident sometime after 8 p.m. and he would have presented at the hospital in St. Anne sometime after 1 a.m. That tells you that for some time, it took some time for him to reach to the hospital. There might have been a number of variables that could have caused that long delay. There is one particular variable that speaks to the access onto the toll road and the exit from the toll road. There are some indications that there could have been somewhat of a delay at that point. The amount of time that was lost in accessing or exiting the toll road at this stage, I cannot say. But what I'll say is that if it were even 5 minutes, it would have been 5 minutes too many. So it's really unacceptable at this time to have a situation where an emergency vehicle trying to save lives would be having a discussion at a toll booth about, whether or not somebody can pass through to save someone's life. And it doesn't matter if it's a police officer or just any other Jamaican. That's not something that is acceptable at this time.
SSP Ricketts said that he was informed that if Constable Carr was taken to hospital a bit earlier, he would have had a better chance at survival.
Having spoken to the medical representatives at the hospital, I was told that had he been taken there a bit earlier, he probably would have stood a better chance at survival. Nevertheless, I must commend the police officers who responded from the St. Anne Division. They responded and assisted our colleague. Yesterday, when I was in the parish, they came, they rallied around us, and his family member, they were with us right through. So, hats off to Senior Superintendent Powell, DSP Kevin Francis, and the entire team there who assisted us at least, through this initial stage.
SSP Ricketts described Constable Carr as a hard-working officer. Constable
Carr was one of the hardest working police officers you could find. He was one of those persons that his colleagues felt quite comfortable going into any dangerous situation with. He was somebody that you could always depend on to have your back. He was committed to the task at hand. Despite being a constable, he operated as a sub-officer. He was always concerned about his colleagues, and he would refer up the line, ask for, assistance when there was a need to ask for those kind of assistance. So he was reliable, dependable, someone that, that just about everybody looked towards, everybody loved him. And it's just ironic that, when he wanted the help, he didn't get it as how he should have gotten the help.
And on the heels of Constable Carr's fatal crash along the North-South Highway, Chief Executive Officer of the Toll Authority of Jamaica, Leron Leng, says some members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force have been misusing electronic passes given to them for official police duties. Mr. Leng says that this has been one of the sticking points in the negotiations to expand the number of JCF members having access to the toll roads. The issue of assigning electronic passes to more JCF personnel and service vehicles to access the North-South Highway was again brought to the fore on the weekend following the fatal crash of Constable Donald Carr. Since the crash on Saturday, members of the JCF's rank and file have expressed concern about access to the toll by the police while they're on duty. The Toll Authority CEO says currently only 42 vehicles attached to the Ferry Police Station have electronic access to the highway. Mr. Leng says they will be moving to increase that number. He also added that the police are now putting together a proposal, but notes compensation has been an issue. Meanwhile, Mr. Leng is dismissing reports that suggest that the police were barred from accessing the toll because they were unable to pay the fee. It was reported that police personnel encountered difficulties as a toll road booth operator allegedly refused to give them access to get to the scene without paying the toll fees. A situation chairman of the Police Federation, Corporal Ron James, laments should never be allowed to repeat itself.
The Jamaica Police Federation wishes to express condolences to the family members and colleagues of Constable Carr, and we are imploring upon the government to have the Minister of Transport and Works issue a ministerial order for this incident that resulted in the tragic loss of life on the toll road, that there will be no repetition. This could have been a minister of government as well as a child, or it could be you, it could be me. And I'm saying once and for all, this should never ever be allowed to repeat itself.
The Toll Authority's CEO, Leron Leng, however, disagrees. That's how the situation unfolded. And Mello TV will continue to track this developing story in subsequent newscasts. The Major Investigation Division, MID, is probing the circumstances surrounding the shooting death of 3 men in Bedward Garden, Augustown in Kingston 6 on Saturday. The deceased have been identified as 24-year-old Rashid Edwards, otherwise called Boppy, who is a Mason, 18-year-old Keena Ray, otherwise called Brains, both of Bedward Gardens, and a third man whose identity is only known as Jackson or Kids Friday. Reports are that about 4:50 a.m., the police responded to a call. On their arrival, Edwards, Ray, and Jackson were discovered lying on a dirt track near the football field with what appears to be gunshot wounds. They were assisted to the hospital, where all three men were pronounced dead. No one was arrested in relation to the killings. The police investigation continues into this latest incident. Meanwhile, a 17-year-old girl was charged with housebreaking and larceny after she allegedly broke into a relative's house in Longwood, Clarendon. Reports are that on April 26, the teen's cousin securely locked her house and left. Whilst driving home 2 days later, the teen was seen walking along the roadway and was offered a ride. While inside the vehicle, she was seen with a laptop and cellular phone that did not belong to her. She was taken to the police station. The officers on duty responded and took the complainant to her home, where the back door was found broken and the lock damaged. Several electronic items, cash and clothing were missing. The laptop and cellular phone were identified by the teen's cousin as the items that were stolen from her home. The teen was subsequently charged and is awaiting a court date. The National Works Agency, the NAA, is advising that 2 traffic signals in St. James are now malfunctioning and are working to repair these signals in short order. Community Relations Officer at the NAA, Janelle Ricketts, says that the traffic signals at the Providence Road and its intersection with the Elegant Corridor is now out of commission due to damage sustained following a recent motor vehicle accident. Ms. Ricketts also added that damaged hardware to the traffic signal at the North Paradise and Harbor Street intersection has also caused that signal to be malfunctioning. Ms. Ricketts says that in the interim, motorists are being reminded that when traffic lights are out of service, no one has the right of way. As a result, motorists should exercise due care when using these intersections. Jamaica yesterday, May 1, reported 133 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total number of confirmed cases reported on the island to 130,299. According to latest statistics from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the country also reported 1 more virus-related death. The death toll since the start of the pandemic now stands at 2,967. The country also recorded 66 new recoveries, bringing the total number of recoveries to 83,689. Of the newly reported cases, there were 86 females and 47 males, with ages ranging from 6 months to 108 years. The cases were recorded in Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, and Portland, each recording 1. St. Catherine, 13, Kingston and St. Andrew, 28, St. James, 24, St. Mary, 3, Hanover, 6, St. Thomas, 2, Trelawney, 7, Westmoreland, 16, Manchester, 6, and St. Anne, 25. Meanwhile, the latest death is a 75-year-old male from Kingston and St. Andrew, whose death was previously under investigation. The Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, is investing almost $3 million in building up the capacity of 28 micro-business owners in Denhamtown, Kingston, to create sustainable employment and income generation within the tough inner-city community. Managing Director of JSIF, Omar Sweeney, made the announcement during a ceremony last Friday at the Denhamtown Community Center, where the small business investors received enterprise development grants to fulfill the objective.
We will mark today as the day when 28 beneficiaries will receive support to the tune of $2.8 million to support their micro-enterprises by way of equipment like refrigerators and stoves, by way of inputs to produce value-added products for dressmaking, sewing skills, small farming, small business enterprises. Right? And if we are able to allow small business to succeed and just hire one person, just imagine if 28 businesses, or let's call it 30 to make the numbers easy, if 30 businesses are able to hire 2 people, that is 60 people employed. How many companies in Jamaica have 60 people employed? Right? This is how microenterprise works, allowing companies to get at ease, to get a support so that they can employ something.
Mr. Sweeney also added that he wants the private sector to play a key role in any intervention such as the one implemented in Denham Town.
A great day. It's a day of celebration. It's a day to mark the Denham Town Enterprise Development Grants Cycle 2. Okay, Cycle 1 was done in the COVID, more than a year ago or so. We gave out some grants to the beneficiaries. These are beneficiaries that are running micro enterprises within the community spaces. Looking at the economic livelihood of the micro businesses that are in the community is something that is a part of the system that we need to sustain. I mean, persons like to talk about sustainability. Mr. Sweeney, what is the sustainability of the interventions? Really, the sustainability is the people. It's the ability of the residents to sustain the interventions that have been given. And so, as a part of strengthening the residents, we talk about private sector. People who operate small businesses are private sector. And we depend on private sector to support the community. We depend on private sector. We want private sector to be successful, right? And we want private sector to be a contributing part of the sustainability of any intervention.
A review of the project was given by Mona Sue Ho, Senior Manager for Social Development at JSIF.
The idea is that, and the buzzword for Enterprise Grant Cycle 2, and as we go into Cycle 3, it's a hand up, not a handout. And so we want to move persons from informality to formality. We want to ensure that there's ongoing mentorship and monitoring of the enterprise grants. We have been pleased to find out that the majority of enterprises, except in one situation, all of the enterprises here have continued to thrive. And that to me is a tremendous success. So let us just applaud, because sometimes we hear that people get grants and then suddenly they disappear. But all of the enterprises have continued to thrive, and some of them have even diversified.
And those are the stories making the news. We now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with the sports.
Hi, I'm Chris Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness. Vaccination has always been a critical part of protecting the health of our Jamaican people. The more of us who get vaccinated, the greater our chances of slowing the spread of COVID-19. The COVID-19 vaccine now available to Jamaica has met all the required safety and quality standards. I will take the vaccine, so let's vaccinate to stay safe.
Message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.